Hello, curious minds, and welcome back to Tech Advantage, the podcast where we talk about technology, business, and personal growth. I'm your host, Tondow Abraham, co founder and head of technologies at Blue Mind. And today on this podcast, we have a special guest, Mr. Balogun. He's going to be sharing a lot of great stuff with us on the podcast, and he's going to talk about a recent challenge that he just came first place here in Abuja. So, introduce yourself, Mr. Balogun.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Balogun Abdulsamad. I'm a full stack software engineer with over 5 years of experience building scalable, secure, and high performing applications. Our experience working with technologies such as various front end and back end technologies, including AI automations and LLM engineering. Yeah, I actually graduated from the Federal University of Technology, MENA, a civil engineering degree with a first class honors. Also,
Oh,
so my journey into software engineering actually
interesting.
began when I was yeah, interesting actually. I'm from a civil engineering background. Yeah. But right from when I was in school, I fell in love with tech. I saw it as the future. So my tech journey actually began when I was in the university actually, I think 200 level. Yeah, I saw tech, I saw AI as the future. What actually made me to study civil engineering was not because I was that interested in the civil thingy. Though when I was very young, I used to build houses and stuff with mud and everything. Like I kind of simulate the real way they build houses. And everybody was like, no, most likely you should become a civil engineer. Even my grandfather was a civil engineer and stuff. But what actually drove me to that was not really uh that stuff. It was actually geometry, logic, and reasoning. That was where my strength lied in. Then as I went on, my eye opened. I saw that wow, this is the technology that I could dive into. It's the future. I mean, we watch them in movies and stuff. It's something that whenever I
Yeah.
watch it, I love to, I want to be part of this. I want to be able to build some things like this. So I actually seized the opportunity. I saw that wow, the logic and geometry and reasoning that made me went into civil engineering is highly concentrated in tech, software engineering to be specific in my case. So I just began the journey there. It began by I'm a self-taught full stack software engineer. I remember then, I think on Telegram, Telegram was very, very useful to me then. That was where I took courses. Udemy to be specific. And it was usually free then. I don't know if you are familiar with Udemy when it started, that
Yeah,
some
yeah,
courses.
I do know the platform.
So every single course I make sure that I add them because it's usually free for a limited time. If you don't add them to your account, you might not be able again. So Telegram was
Yeah,
my best social media platform. I don't even use WhatsApp. My message me on WhatsApp days it goes on read or notice unless you call me a normal call. Plus in school, you know how it is now. There's no time for WhatsApp. But Telegram, I make sure just because of these courses and stuff I learned. So I began there. I began taking different like I said, I'm a self-taught. There was no guidance or stuff. I just believe that okay, I want to learn this thing and I've seen a platform I could get the courses. How do I go? And it's part of the reason that you see now I would say I'm a polyglot. I know many programming languages and framework. It was because I learned there was no really guidance. I don't know where I was going to. I just started with I think I started there with Python. Then I learned Python, I learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I thought that was all. It was now left for me to okay, let me try to see if I could get an internship, a job or something. I went there,
yeah.
I saw that I require Node.js. Node.js. Okay, I went back. I searched for Node.js course. Luckily, I found it. I studied Node.js. I learned it also. I built some project and stuff. I'm now confident that okay, I could take up project in Node.js. I went back to find under opening. I realized that they need Java. Java again. I was like, okay, let me go and learn this. That was what I did. I did for Java. I did for Go. Like I did for what most of them. Then I realized it can't be this. They have to be like I
That's
can't learn
very
all.
intense. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see you
yeah.
have a lot of background knowledge and you're very, very into your onions. It's great to have you on the podcast, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of great information that you would share with us. So I would just chip in a little bit of question with all the background information you've given us. So now, you've worked across different technology industries, as you stated. What are
Yeah.
you currently focused on? Like what does your work around software and AI entails entirely? So just give us more detail on what you build.
Yeah, so exactly. I'm a full stack software engineer with AI and LLM experience. So now everybody now, every company now they're trying to like integrate AI into their system, be it just like the way we started Recruiter. The only different they have been recruitment platform, it's just that they are not what infused with AI. So what we basically do is to infuse AI. The companies I'm working
Okay.
with, things we're doing manually before, we're trying to like automate it with AI. So that's why we just like the company I'm going to work with, it has to do with onboarding of employees and stuff. So those were done manually. You get the employee, you have to create their emails, you have to create their accounts, add them to Slack. All those were done manually before, but since the advent of
Yes.
AI, we now use AI. And apart from that, my everyday life, I use AI to automate stuff like we've heard of OpenClaw and stuff. I have OpenClaw
Yeah.
integrated. I have a custom one that help me replies to WhatsApp messages, help me save opportunities, help me what is it called, save reminders and stuff so I don't forget. So there are various ways I basically use automation. I have another one that helps me what is it called, summarize my inbox, help me clear my inbox, help me notify me if there's an email that requires my urgent response. So that's how I've been
Okay.
using AI in
That's
my field.
very interesting. I think in the nearest future would bring you on the podcast to tell us a more technical way that we could integrate AI to our daily lives. I'm sure you'll be open to that.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
Okay, so now we'll go straight into the Abuja Tech Challenge that just happened recently. You emerged first place. I didn't really know the amount of other competitors that were in the event. So you tell us about that and tell us exactly how the competition went, what problem you solved, and why you even decided to participate.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, yeah, like I've loved participating in competition and stuff. Like right from when I was in school, even though it was, yeah, not really tech heavy. You could remember cowbell, Olympiad and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I know
yeah. So I
debates and
jet and
stuff.
everything. So I've normally participated in that. Like I like to compete a lot and stuff. So even when I applied for the competition and it's been long actually. I did an hackathon and one like that. So it's been almost 2 or 3 years I've been dealing with work or stuff. So I said that okay, let me try this. This is like I've been seeing other cartoons, but I just feel like it's not really worth it. It's not really going to be challenging and stuff. So I saw this
Yeah.
one. I don't even know there was prize or something attached to it. I saw it in the tech community. I just went on and applied. Okay, let me. It's been long. Let me try this hackathon and see what I could come up with. So I registered. Then I think luckily I was shortlisted for the first phase, which is the assessment phase. There were basically two phases to the hackathon. There's the assessment phase. If you pass that, then you are invited to their office. I think they are Vega IT, the organizing firm. They are called Vega IT. I think they're branch
Yeah,
in
I
Nigeria.
looked up the program. Yes.
Yeah, so the when we I got this information when we got there, finally the people that made it to the final were only 30 out of I think about 650 engineers that applied. Only 30 were invited to the final phase. So for the 750 that applied, 650 to 700 that applied, they gave us, I think it was the assessment they used in cutting people down just to 30 that finally attended at their office basically in Abuja here. It was a
Okay.
2 days hackathon. Yeah, 9 to 5, 2 days. Yeah. Then the
Oh,
assessment
sorry.
actually,
Before you proceed, okay, you're about to tell us the assessment. I was just about to ask you about the assessment that they gave the
yeah,
600 of you guys.
yeah. So the assessment was actually building a highly available global rate limiting service. You understand? High availability global rate limiting service.
Okay.
I
Wow.
there's what we all know what rate limiting is, right? It's just basically
Yeah.
rate limiting, but they want it to be highly available. That was the major goal of the assessment because it was even stated there explicitly. The major goal is for the rate limiter, the global rate limiter to be what? Ultra
Highly
fast.
available.
That word ultra was there. So why did they
Okay.
need this? Why did they need to build this? They are like a SaaS company, yeah, and their
Yeah.
business actually involved the integration of various API, fintechs, logistic, banking, uh, uh, agricultural API, like open APIs, like AI APIs and stuff. So there are a
Yeah.
lot of APIs, and each of them, right?
Yeah.
If they should integrate the AI in the APIs into their platform, there are many of them. I can't just list them, but again, if you are designing, you don't need to know what API because you are not at coding. You just need to know what uh you just need to design in such a way
What's
that APIs are
possible?
configurable and based on the fits, you know how to handle them. I'm still coming to them. So based on that,
Okay.
right? People are using their system. It's just like I integrate AI. Let me use OpenAI for an example. I integrated OpenAI into my system. Me that is as a firm integrating OpenAI into my system and people are gonna use. Don't forget, I'm not OpenAI myself. I'm also paying for the services, is it not? And I'm also rate limited.
Yeah.
If I
True.
exceed my rate limiting, it's going to lead to unnecessary what uh
Right, exactly.
financial what is it called sanction. Like according to the assembly that was said, they said if the rate limiting is abused, it's going to lead to unnecessary financial what is it called sanctions. Like they have to pay extra apart from okay just telling them 429 too much request. They have to like pay extra for abusing the API. So due to that, they need to find a way that they could prevent that. And not just that, their services is not just one service. It's like they have it's a microservice to begin with, and there are many instances because of course they are a very big company and there's a large traffic that comes into their system. They can't just deploy it on a single server. There are multiple instances, of course, for load balancing using Kubernetes or stuff like or a native load balancer like Nginx. There will be many instances of the so that it could what is it called and do a very high request, basically load balancing, right? What I'm trying to
Yeah.
explain is just the availability part. Like there are many instances due to the load that they receive. We can't just deploy it on one server. So I think
Yeah.
that's it. So for that reason, why if it's just a service, now it has become a distributed system because it's a microservices and they are deployed on different server. If it's just a single system, it's easy for them to interact with what database or the cache, the Redis cache and stuff. But the issue now is there are different instances of the app and there's a quota, right? There's a quota. The way rate limiting is normally implemented, there's a quota. So you can just simply check this quota, okay, per IP, per user or stuff, or per plan. Okay, if the person has exceeded, simply what? Return 429, too much request, like you have been rate limited. But how would you
Yeah.
know it's a distributed system? If that way, each service, each instance is going to assume the whole budget to itself. Meaning, if it's like, let me say, 100 requests per minute, so that single service will assume that it has the whole budget. Whereas other requests could go to what? Other instances. So a particular user might end up, if we have three instances, might end up using what? 300 requests instead of 100. And don't forget, that is going to open API, their financial API, their logistic API. So they have to like undo that. How did they do that? That was the problem actually they asked us to solve, and they actually made us know that each of the clients using the service, they have
Yeah.
variable limits. So user A might have, let me say, 5,000 requests per minute. User B might have 10,000 requests per minute. What are they trying to say? You can't add code. Secondly, it must be what? Ultra fast. Thirdly, it must be what? Highly available. And it must have a what? It must be very reliable and it must have a fail-safe strategy. So those were the things that they listed. And think again, they say it must be your architecture must be solid. Your code must be well readable, highly commented and documented. Yeah. I think those were the requirements. So how do I approach it? It's basically a distributed system, and if you are familiar with distributed system, you know the only thing you need to do there, most importantly, is what is how you handle the caching with Redis.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Since it's a distributed system, you have to employ what we call lower script in Redis. So basically, it's
So,
just the way.
according to all that you're describing, I'm trying to assume that your best case would be to like ensure that all of this distributed channel is syncing to like a centralized data store. Would that be it?
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's just one system. So we just need to
Yeah.
have a single Redis instance, which is which is idempotent basically, which is locking and blocking, meaning uh just the way we undo transactions, right?
Yes.
We in order to avoid duplicate, they can be duplication, yeah, and that's what is it called, the lower script does. If there's a request in progress, maybe you're trying to check a rate limiting for a particular instance, you should wait till that is done before you begin the next one, right? You should not just let all. If you should just employ this without the lower script, everything will just go through. At the end of the day, we'll end up with about 300 requests instead of just 100 requests, which is the limit.
Wow.
It must be very
Oh,
fast. So
this seems very complicated as you're describing. All of this is just reminding me of my distributed system course back in 200 level. I think my lecturer described something about operating systems that just had to do with all of these errors that you're describing.
So that was it. So that was the Redis part of thing. And again, they made us know that apart from them letting us know, of course, they describe the system as much as they can. But as an engineer, we should know that okay, Redis might become unavailable. And the database we had to use, based on what we are storing, we went with Postgres as a database due to the relationship, and we know that Postgres is actually it's right heavy, right? And we need some
Yeah.
kind of there are some other advantages that come with it as opposed to SQL. So we choose Postgres. But we can't be using Postgres for that because it have been very easy with Postgres. We just do DB locking and stuff. Uh Lock for updates basically to avoid duplication, idempotency, basically, yeah, atomicity. So, but we can't use Postgres just like that. It's Redis because it's very fast and they stated explicitly that it should be ultra fast. Redis might not be available. If Redis is not available, we fall back to what? To DB. The DB also might not be available. If the DB is not there available, then we fall back to what? In memory. Then in memory, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's just in memory. There's no way you can track data. Data is not being stored anywhere or stuff. So
Yeah.
just have to look for a way to like balance that because it's just like okay, people need to people need to present their ticket before they register for an event. And again, we know these people most likely it's not just they've bought the ticket, right? Like they are high profile people. But at the point of checking tickets, we just saw that our system was not working. We can no longer verify the ticket, and we can't say Tinubu should be waiting outside or a governor or something waiting outside. So we must allow that. We must leave a space for that allowance. That okay, things are not working, but should we just let them stay outside and have bad impression about us, or we should let them in? So we implemented something like that. The whole system has failed. There's no source of truth. We can't verify. So within just that
Yeah.
short window, we're going to like let them in, but there's a limit. Not that because you are Tinubu now, you just come like 2 times and tell me that you have this social ticket, you want to enter, and our system is not working. No, please. We know that it might be correct, but please, the maximum we can do is 2 or 3, please, sir, and stuff. So the same thing too. We give them. There's an allowance that if everything fails, there's an allowance that's there. So based on that allowance, they can't exceed that. We've tried our best till everything comes up. And again, our system is never to fail for long. Like I said, it's not designed to fail, but if it fails, it's going to come up very fast. But within that window, it has to be reliable. We don't want to lose customer because if we block them, right, it's going to affect our business. If we let them in, it's going to affect our reputation with the external API. Open API is going to sanction me. Unnecessary financial, what is it called? Sanctions will be placed on me. So that's it. The in memory was there and stuff, and they have to be like analytics, so we have to track this stuff and everything. There's a lot that was done. If there was the architectural diagram on screen, it's gonna have been very easy to explain how this fits into this, how this was done. Then I'm just trying to
Okay.
pick the part and stuff. So
Maybe if you could maybe upload the diagram, maybe like on any link, maybe let me see. Any paste URL
okay,
like a Google Doc or anything, you can just share it and I'll just attach it to the description of the podcast and whoever is interested can just check it out.
okay, let me see if I could find it.
No, not immediately, maybe after the session.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So that's it. Then we have to record what the analytics and stuff of whatever happened also in scenarios that okay, the system was down, but we kind of gave them an allowance, which we are going to again we have to record if we are going to do settlement and stuff later for audit sake and everything. That's why I see sometimes if you should notice your balance in OpenAI might be something, but after some time you might not be able to explain this transaction or stuff. It might be due to a particular downtime that they were unable to settle immediately, but later they settled it. So for that reason, we kind of store everything that happens in the DB, and it's asynchronous also. There's a Redis queue. There are two Redis instances, one for the caching and one for the queue, right? Then the queue also,
Okay.
since they say it must be very available, we not just depend on the queue itself. And again, it's asynchronous, right? It should be very fast. It just drops and it returns immediately. We actually use our event-driven architecture. So if everything has been passed, we've determined if the person could pass through or not. We just emit that event. The listener picks it and it's asynchronous. So even though it stops or something, we can always replay. And there's a dead letter queue in case we retry and retry, it's not still working. Then we can now investigate later manually whatever is happening. Then
Wow.
if the Redis queue fails, there's also an in-memory queue, right?
Yeah.
That we use. Yeah. So it's almost impossible all of them fail like that and stuff. But
But
in the
all
code,
of
right?
this that means the entire architecture of this database is going to be very massive. I'm just thinking about all of the possibilities that you're describing, and it
I'm
seems
telling you.
very cumbersome.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. So,
do wait now the for the enablers of you to be like qualified to come to their office, you need to have built this. All of you guys that built all of this product, did they like make a comparison of all what you guys built and decide to take which of this system, or did they just bring you guys there to see what you possibly could do, or did they actually utilize what you guys built to enable their
so
system?
Yeah, so there are two phases. If you should mention, this is just the assessment phase. It's not the final
Yeah.
competition phase. This was done at home actually. They emailed us to do this. Then those that passed were invited to their office to do it physically. Not the same thing, a different challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All
this
right.
was just the pre-assessment. This was what they're using, dropping about uh I said we're about
600, right?
650 to just 30.
Yeah.
About 620 people were gone. So it was this assessment. Either they didn't meet the criteria or they didn't do it or stuff. So that was it. And again, it's a challenge and it's just the first phase. So I did all my best to make sure that it's industry standard, it's top notch and everything. So there were a lot of tests. They say we must include performance tests, load tests, and all kind of tests. Even the tests they didn't ask us to include, I included it. I know there must be unit, there must be feature, there must be integration, there must be end to end. I included all those. Then most importantly, the algorithm that was used for the rate limiting, it was sliding window. Token bucket, sorry, was the algorithm actually used for the rate limiting. Token bucket. Yeah, because it's per tenant. So there's a maximum token per bucket for a particular tenant. So
Can you just give us like a short description of your entire building process from when you encountered the test and how you took up the challenge, what you implemented, and how you were able to like draft your work to see the implementation of the product?
what I
Yeah.
implemented, I actually used Laravel, right? Because currently the
Yes.
project I'm working on has to be like for the past 6 months now I've been using Laravel. So if I'm gonna say Laravel is what is going to be very easy for me to just jump on. So I use Laravel for the app, right? It's basically an API, but they said it must support a dashboard that they can use to view analytics. Basically, what that
Okay.
means is just to provide an API endpoint that they can call, right? But also, there's a way. I also serve the static file on the Laravel backend. So again, it's a competition. You just have to do everything possible that there's always an edge for you. So what I did was I basically built a UI also on the backend so that if they want to test, they can just easily test. Yeah, so that's basically it. So I had Redis, right? Redis was used for the caching actually. Token bucket was the algorithm used for the caching. Then I used Nginx for the load balancing. I didn't do Kubernetes or stuff. That is production. I also included in the README that if they want something like that on production, ideally will be what? Kubernetes. I used Postgres for the DB. I used Redis also for the queue. Then I also did what? In memory for the queue also. And also for the storage also, I used in memory. So if Redis fails, it goes to what? The database. If database also fails, it goes to the what? In storage, like in memory storage.
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
the architecture was asynchronous. After it checks, okay, this tenant is because when you're going to return, it has to be super fast and it might be calling from a microservice. You just have to return if this person is allowed or not. If it's allowed, you return it. If it's rate limited, you return it. Then you make sure you include the necessary headers. Then it proceeds. So all this thing happens in milliseconds. Milliseconds, very
Yeah.
few milliseconds, about 2, 3. I think the load balancing and stuff, all the K9 and everything tests I did, they actually indicated that everything passed successfully. Basically, I ensured that I optimized till everything passed as it should be. Then one last thing I'm going to mention is, yeah, I included all tests, future tests, unit tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests, load tests, performance tests, stress tests, and everything. Yeah, then I make sure my code is very readable and maintainable. There are doc strings everywhere, there are comments everywhere. Over explicitly, they stated that it must be highly commented, like you must document every single logic you actually uh implemented. Yeah, so I ensured all those. Then you see the code base structure is very industry standard. Everything, it's a modular architecture. Actually, it's a modular monolithic architecture I used actually. So everything is just industry standard. Then I make sure there's a readme for them. I included that. There's also the architectural diagram. I also included that. Then the readme include a detailed step-by-step process on how to run the rate limiting service. And I did all. You were to submit as a zip. I zipped the file and
Yeah.
I basically uploaded it. And that was how I submitted the first assessment of the challenge. I don't know if you have any other question regarding that.
That's really impressive. Even to get into the major competition was a huge. Well,
Yeah, yeah,
it seems very complex. So you have no idea how my mind is blown. Congratulations once
yeah.
again. you really
Thank
deserved
you.
all of the price that came with it because it was a lot of work.
It's a lot of actually. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Okay, so
So
we will just further now. So you're going to now tell us about the competition that was in person when you visited the office in Abuja, what they asked you to build, and the whole experience.
yeah. So one important thing is this. I don't think they were concerned about. I think the weight limiting they will be concerned about that because again, it's very easy for them to evaluate that because their test there's a threshold
Yeah,
it must meet. There are requirements it must meet. It's just to check the value. Okay, does it meet this threshold? Is it above or below? It's just the way it's coming. Let me say the way it's being streamed.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
understand. I understand.
they said something right. It's
Yeah,
for the first assessment we did. It's easy for them to measure the outcome for them to basically evaluate it because it's a value their test, right? If everything are not green, then of course there's no way you are passing. Everything must be green. And for the load test, all those K90 and K95 and stuff,
yeah.
there's how they could test it. If it doesn't if it doesn't meet the threshold they require, of course we are not getting to the next stage. So all those things are
Did they
ensured.
assign a value to the threshold, or how did they grade it?
So they
By
said
what
few
it permits?
milliseconds. They said few milliseconds. So I think
Okay.
mine was about less than 7 milliseconds or something. Yeah, the speed, meaning the speed from the microservices to rate limiting before it returns response. It's just to rate limit. There's the main service that's going to be called. So if it's
Yes.
not that way, it's not going to be the rate limit service becomes a bottleneck. So I ensure that it's very slow, like it's very fast, ultra fast, like they stated. About 7 milliseconds. It's as if nothing even happened and it returns the response. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's it. So the major challenge at their office there in Abuja was to build a real-time collaboration platform. So they mentioned something, right? They say it's not about what you build, it's about your architecture, right? Your reasoning, how you structure your code, how you approach the problem, the trade-offs and everything you made. Like that's what they're concerned about, not really what you implement, right? And I think that was definitely what they did. And I ensured to make sure that everything is covered. Because one thing about competition is not about doing everything, but following instructions and trying to know what this thing is about. So they actually gave us a question paper. When I saw it, it was like, it has been long. They gave me like the feel of writing exam back then in school just came like, question paper as well. I was like,
I know, right? That was
question
tough.
and the question was just too long. What's this? I was like, I just laughed. I was just laughing. The guy beside me was just laughing. I was like, I was explaining a backend system or something like more complex than what they gave us before. But look at what they are giving us. Though it's not, if they should give you a complex backend problem, like it has to do with building APIs and stuff, there's no way there's something you can do. But this one, you never expected it. It's something that you might not even built before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a complex technology. If you don't,
Right.
if you are not, if you're not a person that could research fast and tech again is about problem solving, right? It's not about knowing everything. That's why
Yeah.
AI is not really wrong to use because what matters is the logic, the reasoning, the architectural judgment and decision. So the app was actually this. They said we should build a real-time collaboration platform. They gave some requirements, just like question paper, a collaboration platform, just like we have Google Docs. Do you know Google Docs?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but they say that the future should be belong that of Google Docs, Figma, and Miro. So it's like we're building something far beyond Figma, Miro, and Google Docs.
So in terms
Yeah,
of the collaboration, so it means any member of the project can all edit and see each other work in real time. So that's what you guys are
yeah,
building.
exactly. I'll still explain that in detail. So the thing is,
Okay.
and again, I think the way they simplify, they said it was actually a guest checkout. They said at least for the MVP, it must be a guest checkout. So I can just simply go to the site and I mean, I've not deployed it. You can just simply go to the app and create a link, then share. Then anybody can join. Anybody anywhere can join. Yeah, and it must be very fast and efficient. It must not lag or something. Then the board must be infinite. I mean, Miro and Figma clone was what they asked us to build, and they said it must be beyond that because Miro doesn't have physics, interaction, and stuff with those animations. Figma doesn't have, but what they asked us to build has. So I've given you
I
everything. They
see.
said we should build Miro and
Yeah.
Figma combined, even beyond. Yeah, so that was it. So what I did was I built all those. I went to Miro, I went to Figma, I saw what they had. I saw what Figma had, I saw what Miro had. I tried to make sure I combined everything. I can't really combine everything as well, but I try my best to make sure I combine the major features based on what was listed in the requirements. Yeah. Then I also added
Yeah.
physics. Physics like attract, repel. If okay, maybe I'll try to see if I could maybe if I've the project, I just archived it once I was done. I'll try to send the screenshot and something. So I did all those. You could just see it as Mio. Everything Mio has, all the future, because they said a very advanced, it must have very advanced content creation capability. Meaning all those tools, those draw tools, those pencil, those erasers, those are,
Yeah.
you can clone, you could what? You could change the color, you could change the font. Like, I'm saying it again, a full Miro platform was what I built, plus Figma coupled. Then one thing I added again was AI. There was AI. I think that was one of the major things. I don't know, everything has to do with AI. I just feel like you want to have an edge and stuff, you just have to implement AI. I implemented AI. I call the AI there Orbit. So instead of you doing all those things manually by yourself, you just go, you
Yeah.
just say it to the AI. Either you type it or you speak it. You can say, okay, create the architectural diagram of so platform for me. And this is what the platform does and everything. It does it for you. You don't have to do it manually. The Zack AI does it for you. I think I also implemented app tour. Like before you start the app, you kind of see a tour and stuff. Like it takes you through the various parts of the app. So yeah, basically what app tour does. So you're familiarized with the app. You can always, it's not like okay, I've seen the tour. Some platform, once the tour ends, you can try to like start the tour again. I made it possible for you to be able to start the tour in case you forgot it. Again, you can ask the tool that okay, where is so tool? Even though the tool is very embedded, like it's next, you know the way tools normally work, especially with this platform. It's not
Yeah. Yeah.
direct. You can just ask it and it takes you to that particular tool. Like it opens every necessary tab and takes you there. If you have used the AI in Postman recently, it does exactly what that does, and I think it's even better. Yeah. Then I implemented dark mode, light mode. I made it a PWA. You can install it on your mobile, your desktop, basically any platform. Then you could embed a call link. Yeah, you could do some interactive stuff, just like you're in a Google Meet meeting that you can send reactions and stuff. You can
Yeah.
you can upload audio on the board, you can upload video on the board, you can vote on the board and stuff.
What?
Like you guys might be on a session and you decide to vote, and in real time the starter of the meeting is able to the host of the meeting is able to see, okay, these are stuff and result and everything. There are tons of stuff there. Then physics was also there. Like you can shake the board, you can try to like attract things together, like just pile them. Like it's kind of very advanced, and yeah, it was very nice to use than Mio. Yeah, I'm very certain that I can compete with Mio even far beyond. Yeah. So that was basically what I built.
Wow.
And again, you can export the board, right? And import it
Yeah.
in any other instance, basically. Then you can chat. Every other member sees your chat. You can comment. Just like that's why I said it's combination of Figma and Mio, even beyond. You know, you can comment on Figma, right? You can comment on a particular
Yes. Yes.
template or UI on Figma.
Section.
So all those stuffs are
Exactly.
there. There are templates. There are everything. Yeah. Then there's real time, and what is it called? The real time now is this. Anything every single person is doing on the board is visible to other members in the same board, in the same room, we call it. For instance, now I share you the link, you join. I'm able to see your
Yeah.
location, what you are doing. You get? I'm able
Yes.
to track
Yes.
just the way it is in Google Docs. Everything just syncs with them. And again, it can work. It can work offline. If you are offline, everything keeps working, right? There's nothing like
Yeah.
it has to call the internet or it's breaking. Everything works normally. Then when you come online, it syncs automatically.
So tell
Yeah.
us
So
about
there
the entire architecture and the technologies you use in building this.
Yeah. So first, like I said, it's not something I've built before, even though I've been wanting to build something like that. Like one reason why I enjoyed the challenge. I've been wanting to build a collaboration platform like Google, what is it called? Google Docs, at least, like something like that, real time, and not real time in terms of WebSocket and stuff, but something like Google, what is it called, the Google Drive. I just like that, and Figma and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
finally that gave me the opportunity. So as a software engineer that has not really done something similar to that before, I mean, there's a lot that we've done. We've not just done that. I did my research at first. I went, okay, this, how can I build this? Are there existing libraries I could use? Are there existing repo I could use? I automated my search also with AI. Then I think some result I got was, okay, there's already something similar that I can just spin up in 5 hours. I'm done. What was that? That was TLJAW library. But I said, TLJAW, why TLJAW? I looked at it and I saw there was a restriction. If you want to take it into production, you need a license or stuff. It's free to develop, but into production, you need a license. That was how I dropped TLJAW. I began my research again. Then finally, okay, I was like TLJAW, right? So how was TLJAW built? I investigated the technology. Okay, TLJAW uses YGS library. So that was the library that powered the whole real-time thingy. So in summary, I
Yeah.
later went with YGS. So I think what they did was the first assessment was back end heavy, but this one was what, front end heavy. Again, I didn't mention, I made sure that everything was very, very responsive. Everything was very, very responsive and nice looking. It was nothing like AI slop or stuff. Of course, I used AI and they say AI was allowed, but again, they emphasized on it. We must see your work, we must see your genuinity in whatever you do, and they have a way to assess that. So again, AI is here. We are not AI is here to stay. We shouldn't be what,
Yeah.
against it. We should embrace it. So, and what does that mean? You have to follow the standard. I made sure that I had my agent, my, what is it called, my AI configuration. I had my cursor rules, I had my agent rules, I had my design.md. So whatever I'm designing doesn't look like if what's it called, a slop. I went online, went to ChatCN, I kind of took a template. Since they say we should build something like Miro and Figma far beyond. So the design.md I used was actually the one for Miro. I just tweaked it. Then I defined my, in my, what's it called, agent.md, I defined all the rules I'm supposed to define. Okay, the standard, these are what I have to do, make sure it's modular. I broke everything down. Okay, the request, the controller, the services, the repository, the resources, the contract and stuff, all those must be present. This is the standard. We have to have a global response, what's it called, API. We have to have an error handler globally. We have to have login in place. We have to have what's it called, traceability, monitoring and everything in place in case we wanna take it to production system. So all those things, everything has to be well documented. We have to have doc strings where necessary. We have to have comments where necessary. We have to use constant where necessary and stuff. So in short, all those, everything has to be what, broken down into components, not just juggle everything in just one file and the code base is not neat at all. Basically, I made the code base very readable, maintainable, that any developer anywhere could what, jump on it. And I made it highly documented. The README was very simple yet very efficient and very easy to follow. I ensured all those, and that was how I was able to build the solution. It took me 2 days actually, and came up with something that marvelous that actually made me came first in the hackathon, the competition basically. Thank you.
Impressive. Congratulations once again. Did you have
Yeah.
any like opportunity to converse with your other competitors to see how they came up with their own products also?
Yeah. So yeah, when the thing was this, they said we should submit by 5. Like 5 was the deadline because it was 9 to 1 every day. But later she
Yeah.
came back and said that anything 5:40, we can't submit again. So me, I didn't really hear that 5:40. Only 40 I heard. 5:45. I was hearing that 45. I was thinking she said 45 minutes. Once it's 4:45, like we can't submit again. So I actually submitted
Okay.
early and there was still 1 hour. Like I had to
Oh
rush things.
wow.
That was why I started panicking that wow, these guys didn't let me finish well. Like I'm done with everything. I've tested it. I've created the zip, but I still want to start the project from scratch to ensure that whoever is reviewing does not what, encounter issue. But I didn't get the chance to do that. But I was just lucky that everything I
It's
one-shotted
okay.
everything and it
Yeah.
was okay. Like
Yeah.
obviously it didn't break. It didn't break. And I was able to, like, something was strange, like something was okay, let's just take it that way. I was lucky that it didn't break. Everything went as expected because I could see the log and traces. I implemented OpenAI. I can see the log when they were using it and stuff. So I was lucky that everything worked. So given that time, right, I've submitted. I was like, you guys are not submitting. Time is going. They say, it's still 5:45. I was like, wow, and I've submitted. So I had the chance to go around and see what other people were doing and stuff. From there, I think that was when we even had the time to talk because 9 to 5, I was on my seat. Only when I want to pray and stuff, I was just coding till the dead, what's it called, till the die minute. And since I submitted early, I was able to go around. I went through I think it was 3 rooms, 10 in each rooms. Yeah, in each rooms, their offices basically. I went around, I tried to make friends and stuff. I spoke with them. Even the person that took second, I think I don't know, somehow we became friends till the what is it called, released the result finally. It was like surprised that wow. So I was the one that came first and something. He actually came third though. It was because you know this kind of thing, you can't brag and stuff. You don't know who is who. You just try to do your best. Once
True.
I made sure that I followed every standard, right? Every
Yeah.
standard, and I did my best basically. And I just remained silent and hopeful, and luckily, yeah, and thanks to God, I came out great. I came out first. Yeah, that's it basically.
This is really great experience. So I'm so happy for you and really learned a lot from just this our short conversation. I'm sure a lot of our
Yeah,
listeners
thank you.
have gotten a lot of great information that you've shared. So
Thank you.
just some final questions that we have for you. Do you just, give us some tips or advice for young developers and software engineers trying to navigate, the whole ecosystem of building products and all of that. So just give us basic advice how it is to approach problems that they might encounter, maybe even not hackathon, like building
Yeah,
any
yeah.
products for clients and all of that. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I normally have this question because I have some couple of mentees and stuff that reach out to me with similar questions. I'm gonna say is okay, before the AI era, it was kind of okay, but now that there's AI is everywhere. It's kind of unfortunate. I mean, AI has ruined everything. The experience from Stack Overflow, Google, trying to solve things yourself, things working in your machine, not you're trying to follow a tutorial, they are typing something, you are typing exactly the same thing, it's not working. You are copying and pasting, it's not working. Even though it's the exact same thing, it's not working until you have to type it yourself. All those experience are no longer there. It's just AI. They don't even want to stress at all. Anything they want to do is just AI. Like, it's like a temptation now. I cannot be using cursor before I even type print. It suggested everything for me. Before I even define a function, it's created the whole function for me. So all those things is not really, it's so unfortunate is what I'm gonna say. But what I'm gonna advise is this: is ignore all those things. It's a temptation, right? Try to learn the basics. You need course. Try to go to I recommend platform like Coursera, Udemy, which I learned from. Don't use YouTube. YouTube, you just get half of the stories most of the times. Except your experienced person, I advise you to use YouTube, or that YouTube is very detailed. Learn the basics. Ignore whatever you are seeing. Start from scratch. Learn HTML, learn CSS, learn JavaScript, learn Bootstrap. Even though we know tailoring is what's in vogue, you kind of get this experience. When you encounter an error, right? Don't go to AI directly. Use Stack Overflow. Use Google directly and stuff. Try to build a project around every single thing you learn. Don't let AI should be secondary, and that's when you feel like, okay, no, I'm very good. Just assume that, see it as if there's no AI yet. Do things the native way that it has been done before. Then eventually, maybe you spend some time, you see, okay, I'm now confident, I know what I'm gonna do. I can now use AI. Even if you're gonna use AI to spin up things, make sure that every single line the AI generated, you understand every single thing. So, like I normally say, AI, the only thing I use AI for is not to code. I just use it to type because all the reasoning is coming from my head. I can remember a single time I just gave it a prompt. In as much as the prompt was very detailed, it gave me about 20 lines of code. When I looked at that code, I was like, what's this? With a very good model, capable model like Fable 5. When I corrected that thing, it was less than 5 lines. I achieved the same result, even more efficient. So try to understand every single line the code is what the AI is generating, and make sure you what own it, and that's how you own every single line and eventually the whole code base. That would be my advice. That would be my advice. And again, don't stop learning. Try to read articles. What's it called, relating to tech. Try to attend what's it called, tech events. Any tech group you see, just join. Even though as long as it's related to tech, just join. There might be one information or two. Somebody might post an article. Somebody might post a website that you could. Somebody might post a flashcard. Somebody might post a meme. You can even learn from memes and stuff. In this AI era, right, it's quite unfortunate to start in tech. There's a whole lot of temptation in the sense that you don't really get to learn the foundation, the basics. That's why you see that somebody vibe coded an app and there was security flaw. So I don't know if you heard that Twitter news that a person, right, basically asked his AI to book a gym membership for him. You saw what happened?
I
Did
don't
you
think I
hear
know
what
about that
happened?
story. No,
So
no.
what the AI did was he went through, basically MC pass servers and stuff. Like the AI basically went through the API for booking the gym membership. He found a
Yes.
vulnerability. He found the vulnerability and it exploited it. So what he did was he accessed the API. He kicked somebody, a particular membership, somebody that has booked. He deleted the person's booking and booked for his client and returned.
Wow.
Imagine, so what am I driving at? That app must have been vibe coded, most likely. So with we that is the disadvantage of what is it called, not being grounded in tech before you just move into tech, and it's not their fault. Like I said, it's a temptation. It's so unfortunate. It's just so what tempting. So my advice is this: try to ignore those temptations, right? Just like the way you're gonna ignore temptation in real life. I mean, there's
Yeah.
temptation everywhere, but you just try your best not to fall into sin. Ignore that. Try to what start from the basics, right? Try to get what a course. Try to get a mentor. If you can't get a mentor first, that's gonna put you through. I think they said what is it called? A mentor's advice can what saves you what 10 years of hard work. Just a good advice from a mentor can save you what 10 years of hard work, and that's true. I also encountered it. I learned without anybody. I didn't go to meet anybody. I felt like I could learn anything. Then I started stacking on languages. At the end of the day, in a year, I might not use more than 20% of the languages. So mentorship is very important. If you can't get a mentor, there are platforms you can what get courses. There are platforms you can get courses. Some you can get courses, course platforms like Udemy, Coursera, YouTube. I will not really advise using YouTube except the channel is a very detailed one that contains everything, just like a normal course would do. Yeah, then
Yeah.
try to what develop your experience, right? I think somebody's even trying to build a platform that's gonna give you experience from zero to just like you're gonna get the real life experience, like you are learning from scratch and there's no really AI, like the pre-AI era experience is gonna give you. So that's what I'm gonna
Okay.
advise you. Take all the basics, learn your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript, your Bootstrap. Uno is outdated. Just learn it to get the experience. When you encounter an issue, don't go to AI directly. Don't use Cursor. Don't use the IntelliSense. Don't use the autopilot. You can use IntelliSense, right? Since it's just autocomplete, but don't let it
Yeah.
generate a large chunk of code for you. Try once you encounter an issue, you go to Google first, Stack Overflow, Medium, and stuff. Try to get solution. You're trying to build a new project. Don't ask AI to start this for you. No, go to you try to look for articles. You look for snippets that you can. I could remember that I was trying to implement PDF upload about 5 years back. I was looking for snippets up and down. I was trying to add the navigation arrow of scroll bar. I was looking for snippets up and down, something that I can just tell AI now in less than 1 minute it's done it. Yeah, try to do all those, right? Try to look for
Yeah.
GitHub repository. Try to understand the code pattern and stuff. Don't just say that is the way I go, because if AI give you something now that you vibe coded, you are not really gonna know if it's up to standard or not. But if you have visited top repositories that has what is it called? By top repository, it means there are many contributors, like they are industry standard already. Like open source, Linux is open source, right?
Yeah.
uh there are a lot of open source and what is it called project there. Try to check it. Like they normally follow the industry standard. I could remember that's how I normally do. I look at big projects, okay, this is how we did. Okay, we don't really just combine components in one file. We kind of break them in files. So okay, these are the right tests. Okay, not just integration tests, there's unit tests. And okay, we write those tests, right? How do they structure it? Okay, how is this? Okay, they normally use constants. Okay, and they reference the constant everywhere, their contract and everything. So those are the things. So today, if I should tell my AI, okay, do this for me, I know what I'm expecting. So I normally say what I use AI for is just to help me type, because the judgment, the logic, everything is coming from me. So that would be my
Hmm.
advice. And there are a
That
lot
makes a
of,
lot of
I think,
sense.
yeah, thank you. And some other things you could do is there's a particular app I use, then they call it Mimo. It's a very good app, an Android app for learning what? Programming.
Okay.
It's an Android app for learning programming, right? So it's just like
Yeah.
there was one then too, Solo Learn, but this one is far better than Solo Learn. It has every languages you can practice. Like it's just too very good. So I would advise everyone to try to look for that app, Mimo, and download it. If you're just trying to start in tech, it's better than using Cursor to take tutorial stuff, because it's an AI. And there's what we call prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a skill on its own. If you want to give you good results, you must have experience, right? First of what you're trying
Yeah.
to achieve. You must what? Uh, have knowledge of prompt engineering. So you don't end up going building app that somebody will just act anyhow, just like they did with that gym membership app.
It's all
Yeah,
right.
that's it. The
Uh.
importantly, join communities, join
Yeah.
tech communities. That will
Okay.
be all. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for the time you spent on the podcast. You've given us a lot of great advice and very much do appreciate your time on the podcast. We will definitely reach out to you in the nearest future to come give us a lot more technical session that would maybe take us on how we could implement like the open claw you told us earlier about automating some few tasks and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot. It's just that there's no time. There's a lot.
Yeah. It's all right. Thank you so much, man. And to the Tech Advantage community, thank you for following us thus far. And you have a great day. Yeah.
Yeah.